Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And normally I do not do this program by myself, but unfortunately, due to thunderstorms there in the Orlando area, Mike is cowering under his bed. No, he's not. There are thunderstorms, but unfortunately, that means that trying to do a web-based program from coast to coast is a little difficult when the electrical storms don't want to cooperate with the internet. So Mike will be taking the day off, but you'll be here, I'll be here. So would love to encourage you. Please comment if you're watching us live, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Would love to share your comments with the folks out there who are also watching, because I'm sure they'd love to hear what you have to say. Also, if you haven't already done so, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And do so, by the way, in multiple places. Whether you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, which is probably our biggest audience, or if you're watching us on Spotify or on Rumble, however you are partaking of the program, do us a favor. Go ahead, like and share, encourage your friends to do the same. Help us, because it helps with the algorithms when you do that. So it helps us get a bigger audience. And I'm sure if you're watching the program and you're enjoying it, I'm sure that others will as well. Your friends probably will as well. So we'd love to encourage you to go ahead and do that. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's topics. But before we do, you know what we got to do. Got to pay them bills. Paying those bills starts with acknowledging our sponsors. We're going to start with Hitman Industries. If you are looking to do a brand new home build, or maybe you're looking to rebarrel your current firearm, there is no better place to go than Hitman Industries. You can find them at hitmanindustries.net. If you've purchased an AR recently, there's a good chance you already have one of their barrels, so why not get more? Just go there and you'll find both pistol and rifle caliber barrels available for you today. And if you are a first responder and you've never purchased from them before, you're going to get a discount. So check them out today at hitmanindustries.net. Then we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all levels of government in the state of California, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. They are the largest and fastest growing conservative grassroots organization, bigger than any other group in any other state. Let me just tell you that right now. In any case, visit them at cragop.org. That's cragop.org. If you want to be a part of California's future today, join CRA. And then we've got the best in concealed carry and tactical holsters. Go to Hog Holsters. You can find them at hogholsters.com. That's HAWG, holsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. By the way, if you go there and you use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, just like it is right up there, you're going to get a discount on us. So check them out today at hogholsters.com. And then finally, it's about that time. Look, the weather's going to be changing here in a couple of months, but if you're looking for summer gear, outdoor gear, if you're looking for winter gear, cold weather gear, wet weather gear, you name it, they have all things tactical except the gun at uscombatgear.com. They have a huge selection. They have competitive prices. They have fast shipping. Check them out today, uscombatgear.com. All right, let's see here. Once again, tons of stuff that we could be talking on that are campaign related, and we're going to get into those stories a little bit later. But I wanted to start by talking about something that's probably the biggest issue, or a combination of two huge issues that people are going to be deciding on in the upcoming election. And that has to do with the issue of immigration and the issue of crime and the nexus between the two. Now, I'm not going to tell you that all people who've entered this country illegally are causing crime while they are here. In fact, I feel pretty comfortable in saying the overwhelming majority of them are not, other than the fact that they cross the border illegally. But that's a whole nother discussion. But what is happening in many cities, in particular in blue cities, in particular in these sanctuary cities or sanctuary states, where law enforcement has their hands tied and are not able to deal with or address individuals, their immigration status, or not able to deal with them based on their immigration status, it's causing havoc. And New York City is leading in this discussion. There was a report there in the New York Post, and I'll bring the story up right here, where they're talking about how basically they're flooding their justice system and they don't have the ability to do anything about it. Here, this is the story right here. It says migrants flooding NYC's justice system, making up 75% of arrests in Midtown as pathetic sanctuary city laws handcuff cops. It says here, Jefferson Maldonado, a 31-year-old migrant from Ecuador, has been arrested in New York City 5 times since arriving in the U.S. earlier this year. But his latest bust for stealing a pair of pants and a beer from the Target near Herald Square. Asked why he committed the crime, the migrant thief said, I wanted to change my clothes and think. I wanted to sit down and think about my life, about what to do, because this is not a normal world. He is just one of five migrants in Manhattan courtroom for arraignment one night last week. Across New York, recently arrived migrants are flooding into the criminal justice system at far higher rates than public officials have acknowledged. Police sources shared with the Post a staggering estimate that as much as 75% of the people they've arrested in Midtown Manhattan in recent months for crimes like assault, robbery, and domestic violence are migrants. In parts of Queens, that figure is more like 60%, sources estimate. On any given day, Big Apple courtroom dockets are packed with asylum seekers who run afoul of the law. And here's the thing, folks. Even the cops know, and this is a video I'm going to share with you, even the cops know. They're like, look, it does us no good to arrest them because they're just going to be let back out. And the thing is, keep in mind, these are places that have no bail. So these are systems that have no bail, and they can't call immigration to have these folks deported.
We'll grab his information and see what we can do, but like I said,
can you please collect the information? He said that he's already illegal. He already said that he went to...
Okay, hold on, let's back up a little bit. First off, we're a sanctuary city. Even if he is legal here, we cannot call ICE.
Okay, but you still have to report that, right?
No, we don't, because it's a sanctuary city. We do not report illegal undocumented.
So you're going to let a person who went to prison, he committed a crime in America, who's illegal right now, you're going to let him go free right now to this elevator?
That's exactly what I'm saying, because we're a sanctuary city. I've arrested a double homicide suspect in this city before and let him walk out the door because we're a sanctuary city. We're not going to call ICE to come pick him up and deport him.
He came to pick up $320,000 from him or mine grandmother and grandfather, and he's walking away freely right now, right? That's what I'm understanding right now.
I understand that, but you're asking me to call ICE or the...
I'm not asking you to call ICE. We're just asking you to take seriously that he's trying to repeat offend when he's already illegal.
He flew
repeating
from
what
New
he's
York.
already been doing.
He said, I'm in Chinatown in New York. They pay for his...
Now, I wanted you to notice something about that video. I want you to notice that for those of you who think this is a racial issue, notice that that one person, he had an accent, so I don't know if he was originally from here, originally born in the United States, but dude had an accent, right? The guy next to him holding the camera appeared to be also be a person of color. So this is not about race. This is about people who have committed crimes, right? These are people who are committing crimes, and the police are saying we can't do anything. If we arrest them, they're going to be let out because we don't have any real bail. We're not really doing anything to anybody who commits in particular if they're committing minor crimes. But then on top of it, once we release them, even if we know they're here illegally, we can't do anything. We can't call immigration because immigration, and by the way, that means that there's no tracking. They're not tracking, so like that was reported here. They knew, the folks from the Post knew that the guy that they were interviewing had been arrested 5 times before and just let go. Why wouldn't they? Think about this. Why, if you can do anything you want and be arrested and released and nothing happened to you, why wouldn't you? And by the way, just so you know, some people wouldn't because they know it's just wrong. But there's a percentage of people out there, there's a percentage of people in this society who don't care if it's wrong. And there's enough of them that if they all wind up in a place where they can just do whatever they want, it will cause chaos. Folks, if we don't have rule of law, if rule of law means absolutely nothing, well, then we have no society. We have no community. We have nothing. We are not a civilized society if we do not have rule of law. And rule of law is simply us agreeing, there's certain things we're just not going to put up with from others. You don't get to do this. You don't get to offend these people in these sorts of ways. You don't get to do these sorts of things. And we all kind of agree on them. Like stealing is one of them. Coming into the country illegally should be another. But for some reason, we have a group of people who've decided that that doesn't matter anymore. That people can just do whatever the heck they want. Well, this is what you get. And just so you know, a lot of these crimes they're not being committed in the, in the posh, in the wealthy communities. It's being committed in the communities where they're competing with people of color. In other words, the victims of many of these crimes are people of color, the very people that Democrats, and the reason why I say Democrats is because it's the Democratic Party that is pushing this and allowing this to happen. It is. It's not all Democrats, but I don't know any Republicans who are pushing these sorts of policies to say that we shouldn't enforce our borders. I really don't. I mean, you do get the occasional business Republican who's trying to find a way to get some illegal immigrants into his business so that he can pay them less. I guess saying that they don't exist isn't exactly fair because it's not true because it does happen. But think about that. Think about what's going on here. Think about how the message we are sending. Because these folks that are committing these crimes, they're not just, when they're calling their friends or FaceTiming their friends back in wherever they came from, chances are their friends are not, they're not on the up and up as well. They're saying, look, dude, look what I'm getting away with. Look, I'm robbing people and they're just letting me go. In fact, they're more than just letting me go. In California, they're giving me $150,000 to put down on a house. I'm getting free room, free board. I'm getting a free cell phone. I'm getting free medical coverage. Heck, I might even get to vote. Who do you think that's going to attract? Who do you think is going to be paying attention to that? You got it. The very people we don't want coming here. But this is the reality. When Mayorkas says that our border is secure, he's lying. He is flat out lying. And the thing is, the American people know it. People around the world know it. And yet these are still our policies. And Kamala Harris owns this, by the way. This is the Biden-Harris administration. This is their border policy. Don't believe it? Don't believe it's her policy? Here, I'm not even going to play that video again. I'm not going to play it again. Y'all should have watched it on Friday. But she wants you to believe that she's got something good going on, that she's making it happen. And what's interesting is that it's even feeding into our Second Amendment debate. How is it feeding into our Second Amendment debate? Well, there was an incident, and this was sent to me via Twitter. It was something that was posted by Libs of TikTok. And in this post, it says here, a group of 32 armed Venezuelans, I'm going to guess that they aren't here legally, armed Venezuelans took over an apartment building in Chicago tonight. Here's the audio of the 911 dispatch call. First they did this in Aurora, Colorado, now Chicago. Which city will be next? The invasion happened under Kamala's watch. Here's the video with the audio.
Unit 10-3, I'm citywide. Person with a gun, 6124 South King Drive. Caller says 32 Venezuelans are trespassing the building, showing guns in the courtyard, and they have motorcycles in the courtyard as well. All stairwells are filled. Nothing further, zone clear.
Hey, I'm sorry, are you headed over to the ShotSpotter or to the 6124 on King for the migrants?
On King Drive.
All right, 10-4. If there's another available unit, arrive at 310. We had multiple calls. Person with the gun, 6124 South King. Also came over to disturbance, large gathering. Said to be 32 Venezuelans trespassing in the building property, showing guns in the courtyard. They have motorcycles in the courtway, all stairwells filled. And nothing further.
How is that not chaos? I mean, one could anticipate that this was going to happen. All you had to do was just watch a day at the southern border and watch the chaos of the people, the masses, the throngs of people coming across the southern border. And you realize that most of those are the people who are going through the process. They're the ones that are surrendering themselves to immigration so that they can be processed and then just let into the country. That's not even mentioning the ones who probably, if they told people who they really were, would never get into the country. That's not including the ones who are carrying the fentanyl. That's not including the ones who, got the known gotaways or the unknown gotaways. They are taking over apartment buildings, riding motorcycles into courtyards in apartment complexes, taking them over. Now, for the reason why I titled this particular piece, this particular story the way I did was, think about this. 32 people have now invaded your apartment complex armed. What good is a 10-round magazine going to do you? What good's it going to do you? Heck, even if you hit everyone with every shot, a 30-round magazine's not going to do you much good. You're going to need multiple firearms with multiple, at least standard capacity magazines in order to be able to defend yourself. Now, what are these folks supposed to do? Someone, please tell me. Someone, please tell me, what are they supposed to do? You're like, well, they should just hide in their apartment. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but if they've invaded the courtyard, if they've invaded the apartment complex, what is to keep them from going door to door? If you're unarmed, absolutely nothing. If you're armed with a 10-round magazine, well, you figure you got a shot at least getting 10 of them. Don't know what you're going to do with the other 20 plus. This is why, and here's the thing, folks, the idea is this, is that you want to be as prepared as you can be because, we don't know what's in our control or out of our control. Most things are outside of our control. You never know what's going to happen. So you want to be as prepared as you can be. And for the government to tell you that we are going to limit your ability to be prepared. It's like telling a hospital you're only allowed to have so many bags of certain types of blood, right? And if people need transfusions, you're only allowed to have so many doctors. You're only allowed to have so many Band-Aids or so many tourniquets. Because, well, we just don't think it's safe for you to have more. Not that there's any evidence that there's any evidence that having more puts you at any more risk. They don't care about that. All they care about is they feel safe. And so because they feel safe, they believe it will make you feel safe. And I cry BS. I claim BS. I do. And once again, this is all about, now, mind you, remember the story before where we have lawlessness and absolutely no accountability for those who have entered our country illegally. They're literally breaking the law here and then being released back out on the streets. Zero accountability. And yet, if you are a legal gun owner, if you're following the law, they've now limited your ability to be able to defend yourself. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And what I don't get even more than why they are doing what they're doing is why people are voting for it. Why are you supporting it? Why are there voters out there because of the color of because they have darker skin complexion, they're supposed to vote for a Democrat? Why are you buying into that? Leave that alone. That is a bad idea. Vote for someone based on the policies, right? either how their policies are going to benefit you and your community. And let's think about that. If most of the communities that are dealing with crime right now, that are dealing with high unemployment, that are dealing with poor quality of schools, happen to be communities of color or communities that largely vote for Democrats, maybe it's time to rethink that. Maybe it's time to rethink the policies of the people you keep putting in office. I know you want to blame Donald Trump. I know you want to blame the Republicans. But in this place like Chicago, Republicans haven't run that place for, 70 years. In places like California, most of California, Oakland, California, San Francisco, California, Sacramento, California, Republicans haven't run the place for 70 years, if even then. Yet still, everything that seems to be wrong in these communities are the fault of Republicans. Think about that. Think about the fact that Kamala Harris is running saying, we need change. But 12 out of the last 16 years, Democrats have been running things. 12 out of the last 16 years. You had a brief foray of 4 years of Donald Trump. You had 8 years of Barack Obama, 4 years of Donald Trump, and then 4 years of Barack Obama 2, otherwise known as Harris Biden. Not making a lot of sense to me, folks. I'm not feeling it. You get what you get. That's all I'm saying, right? And a great example of that, is how they treat those who actually serve our country, right? And Kamala Harris, while she does a good job of providing lip service, the truth is she's done absolutely nothing when it comes to helping or talking to or dealing with the issues that our Gold Star families are dealing with. Now, I want to start this by saying this. Understand that Kamala Harris is bragging on and campaigning on the fact that, when it comes to the important decisions, she's the last one in the room with the president when those decisions are made. Right? And the number one she talks about is the withdrawal from Afghanistan. She bragged about it. She calls it a success. 13 service members died. And we've talked about this before. No one's disagreeing that we needed to eventually get out of Afghanistan. But there were ways in which he was advised to do it. He was advised to not give a date in which we would be withdrawing. He not only gave a date, he gave the anniversary of 9/11. Right? He told them when they could invade and take things over. Number one. Number two, he didn't leave a residual force at all. No plan on leaving, and he was advised, even by his advisors, leave about 2,500 troops. Just enough that you would have a foothold to be able to protect the resources and the stuff that we have there. You would have enough to be able to protect our assets that are there. Right? You would have enough to be able to, if we needed to ramp up, you would already have a foundation there. But leave a very small footprint. He didn't do that. He left hundreds, if not thousands, of Americans behind. I'm pretty sure it's hundreds. But he left Americans behind. We didn't know where they were. They weren't able to get evacuated. He left Americans behind. And then he left thousands of our allies, people who were interpreters, people who worked with us to help during to help fight in Afghanistan, that were interpreters, that helped gave us information, all of this. People who we promised, we made commitments to, that we would look after them, that we would take care of them, that we would protect them, that we would, if necessary, get them out of there and bring them to the U.S., right? Or get them someplace where they would be safe. And we abandoned them. Thousands of them died. Thousands of them were hunted down and killed. Tortured and killed. She was the last one in the room. Kamala Harris. Well, when given the opportunity to at least apologize for her mistake, no, refused to do it. This is Nolte, another piece over at Breitbart. Kamala closes an already disastrous week by trashing Gold Star families. Incumbent Vice President Kamala Harris closed out what was an already terrible week with a desperate, flailing, thrashing 13 Gold Star families that then blew up spectacularly in her stupid and incompetent face. Wow, okay. This is definitely commentary. As I said last week, Kamala Harris is running a terrible presidential campaign. After 6 of the best weeks any presidential candidate has ever enjoyed, 6 weeks filled with billions and billions of dollars and free corporate media cheerleading and propaganda, it all fell apart at the Democratic National Convention. She got no post-convention bounce, so I won't get into that one. Losing debate fight she started. A little bit of that. McDonald's Gate. Oh, that's a funny one where she basically says a big part of Kamala's drive to create a myth around her political rise revolves around repeated claim that she worked at McDonald's while attending college. It became the central part of her biography. It was front and center in a recent campaign ad. Thus far, no amount of reporting has been able to validate her employment. Thus far, campaign has not been forthcoming of the details that could verify the claim. So in other words, we don't know if she actually worked there. There's the interview. Where is it at? Thrashes. Oh, here we go. Kamala's insanely stupid and cruel Saturday afternoon tweet accusing 13 Gold Star families of agreeing to act as props so Trump could politicize the death of their loved one was unquestionably the act of a desperate campaign panicking over internal poll numbers and showing and hoping to change the narrative on the Sunday shows away from the disastrous CNN interview. Here's the exact thing she put. It says, as vice president, I have had the privilege of visiting Arlington Cemetery several times. It's a solemn place, a place where we come together to honor American heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice of their nation. It is not a place for politics. Well, I'm going to pull up the full tweet so you guys can see it for yourselves. And yet, it is reported this week that Donald Trump's team chose to film a video there, resulting in an altercation with cemetery staff. Let me be clear: the former president disrespected sacred ground for the sake of a political stunt. This is nothing new from Donald Trump. This is a man who has called our fallen service members suckers and losers. No, that has not been verified by anyone. And disparaged Medal of Honor recipients. No, he has not. Anyway, but what she's saying is he did this all for a political stunt. Now, it's already been revealed that the Gold Star families invited him to be there. I don't know if they invited Kamala Harris and Joe Biden to come as well. I do know that Harris Biden has made absolutely no effort to reach out to the Gold Star families, and they've admitted as much, that they have not spoken to or reached out to at least, I don't know, apologize to these families. But these families have made it very clear that they are angry and they are upset and they are pissed off at the White House. But they wanted Donald Trump there because when it happened, Donald Trump reached out to them. Donald Trump has been to their homes. He's talked to them on the phone multiple times. And because he honored them, because he bothered to honor them, well, needless to say, Kamala Harris has to disparage him because he did the honorable thing. She, on the other hand, well, not so much. But that's what's funny is that she talks a good game. She says one thing and then does another. But that's part of the many faces of Kamala Harris. I mean, Donald Trump took a lot of heat when he said, oh, well, she all of a sudden became black. Well, I don't think he meant she became black. It was just 1 minute she's touting her Indian heritage to an Indian community, and then she's touting her black heritage to the black community. And really, then she's for fracking before she's against fracking, and then she's for taxing tips before she's against taxing tips. And she does many, many different things. She goes from one side to another. She will be, I call her chameleon. Yeah, that's right. I call her chameleon. She tries to be a chameleon. There are many faces to Kamala Harris. Like, for example, over the weekend, she went to 2 different venues. One was in Pittsburgh and one was in Detroit. And she gave the same exact speech in both venues. Well, almost the same speech.
You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time. Thank unions for sick leave. Thank unions for paid family leave. Thank unions for your vacation time.
All right, can you guess which was which? Oh, that's right. It was up there in the corner. But I mean, how do you trust someone who will pretend to be anything? Now, mind you, when she was little, number one, she tries to say she was in Oakland. No, she did not live in Oakland. She lived in Berkeley. Her parents were professors, which means she didn't live in the hood. She probably lived in university, whatever housing was provided by the university. She was more than likely hanging out with a bunch of hippies than she was as a little child, mind you, because she went to middle school and high school in Canada. She started off at a prep school, a private school. Then she went to a very, very prestigious, when I say prestigious, I mean rich folk high school. That's where she went to high school. Now, she does get some street cred because she did go to Howard. She did go to a predominantly black college in Washington, D.C. But seriously, though, she didn't speak like that. When did you ever hear her talk like that? When did you ever hear that sort of dialectical excretion coming out of her mouth? I don't even know if that's a word. I don't know. I may have just made up a word, folks. Excrement. That's a word. That I know is a word. But seriously. But we're supposed to take her seriously. We're supposed to believe whatever Kamala Harris says. Do you? Can you? Can you really? Anyway, I'll tell you who I think. I'm not thanking unions. I'm thanking the Lord. And by the way, that's not to say that unions have not played a role in creating really some significant advancements in workers' rights protections. I will not disagree with that one bit. But also keep in mind that unions are the ones that were responsible for shutting down our schools, our public schools during COVID. Right? Even when we knew and had significant evidence that children were not a vector, they shut down the schools, affecting children's futures. And we know now that it made absolutely no difference when it came to mortality rates in various different states. But unions, teachers' unions, were the ones who shut them down. Right? We know that in many cases, a lot of the issues surrounding supply chain issues that we were having. Yeah, those were transportation folks. The people who work the ports in places like LA refused to allow in automation. Unions stood in the way of that. That automation would have made the lack of automation created a backlog there in the port of Los Angeles. We know they were responsible for that. Right? When you look at a lot of the reason why construction jobs or a lot of work is so expensive at the state and federal level, government jobs, is because you have this thing called prevailing wage, which means they get paid more. Union members get paid way, way, way more money than anyone else. So taxpayers foot the bill for it. They pay more for these projects. So no, I'm sorry. There's a lot of things, both good and bad, that we can thank unions for. And by the way, we could also thank them for the Democratic Party because they are the ones who fund the Democrat Party. Let's just be real. There would be no resources for the Democratic Party. There are not enough billionaires, even in the Democratic Party, enough entertainers and athletes, enough trial lawyers, enough environmentalists in the Democratic Party for them to fund them. It is unions that fund them. The people who take money forcibly out of their members' checks and require them to contribute to political candidates, yeah, they're the ones who are funding a lot of this stuff. They're the ones who are funding the Democratic Party. So any policy you can think of in the Democratic Party that you disagree with is funded by and supported by unions, because they're the ones that are supporting the candidates who are pushing it. All right, folks, well, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your hog holster today. All right, all of these, I believe, all of them are actually going to be brought to you by the Babylon Bee. Fake news that you can count on. So those of you who are doing the fact-checking and the misinformation, disinformation checking, I am telling you right now, this is parody. Fake news. Fake news are coming. Fake news are coming. Just saying. So you don't have to fact-check me. It's called comedy. This is a picture of Kamala Harris, and she's criticizing Donald Trump, who's in the smaller picture. In the picture, it says, "Woman who got soldiers killed condemns man who comforted their families." I don't think that could be any more accurate. That is so true. And when we talk about the many faces of Kamala Harris and her many, many flip-flops, actually Donald Trump has a commercial that does this. But once again, also put forth by the Babylon Bee, challenger Kamala Harris agrees to debate incumbent Kamala Harris. And that's interesting, because I would love to see what side of the issues they're going to come out on. Anyway, you might have been following the news. If you've been following the news, you know that there were some of the hostages were murdered, were killed just days before they were discovered. The IDF was to discover them, their bodies in some terror tunnels, and in honor of the American hostage, because one of the American hostages did pass, touching Biden builds sandcastle to honor murdered American hostage. Yeah, I know, kind of sad, but that's what happens. And then, I always find it funny when the left is talking about the brainwashing. We shouldn't brainwash our children, right? This is always a good one. Parents, this is once again from the Babylon Bee, quote, "Parents should not brainwash kids in their religion," end quote, says progressive mom of 3 trans kids. And that would be funny and hilarious if it weren't so true. If I had not seen stuff like that put out by, people who fit that description more than once. Anyway, I find it hilarious. All right, folks. Well, that brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by, I just said that already, didn't I? That brings us to the end of the program. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and head out. But before we do, we're going to give another quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with Hitman Industries. Get rifle and pistol length barrels available for you today at hitmanindustries.net. Then you've got the California Republican Assembly, otherwise known as the conscience of the Republican Party. That was Ronald Reagan. Check out cragop.org. You've got a Hog Holster. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. And then finally, you've got all things tactical except the gun at uscombatgear.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for liking and sharing the program. We will see you tomorrow on Taco Tuesday. Till then, have fun, stay safe. If you get a chance, remember, send a few downrange. Holla at you tomorrow.